What's up, fam? I am not going to take up a lot of time today. I know this is not a regularly scheduled show day, so I appreciate you joining me here. If you have not already seen Antonio Moore's video from earlier, please go and take care of that. If it is not up now, it should be back up. It was live. It should be back up if it's not already up. So watch that too. Fam, I had to come in here and just say a word. Oh, I watched that thing like 3 times. That for those of you who are unaware. For those of you who are unaware, the Biden and Charlamagne, Charlamagne the God, or otherwise known as Leonard, interview, I watched it. 3 times I watched it. And let me just say something before I get into all the other stuff. This is a vindication for ADOS. How many times, how long did we tell y'all about this man and who he was and how he hung out with segregationists and all this kind of stuff? Because you could tell, like, let's just get into it, fam. Let's just get into the meat of it. The way in which he was condescending, the way he started off with Charlamagne was offensive, right? So Charlamagne says, I have some disagreements with you. He says, and Joe Biden says, you don't know me. You don't know me. It was almost like you could. It was almost like he thought Charlamagne was somebody he used to shoot dice with when he rolled into the hood. You don't know me, Slim Jim. Who are you to talk about that, Slim Jim? Didn't we shoot dice or play spades together when I rolled into the ghetto sometimes, Slim Jim? You don't know my politics, Slim Jim. And you don't like. What do you mean? See, the thing is, you made an assumption. You saw Charlamagne and you made an assumption. Oh, you just don't know me. Then you also made the assumption that you could give Charlamagne, who is, for better or for worse, regardless of how we feel, the only person like in like who independently, not like a black media person that is bought and owned and wants to have some kind of proximity to power. Just like, no, I just want to have a conversation about I talked to Hillary Clinton, we talked to Kamala and hot sauce in her bag, and I want to talk to you. And so, why would you make the assumption that I don't know off top? Why wouldn't you make the assumption that maybe I know you and I don't like you? Like, why would you make that assumption? The whole thing was kind of cringe-worthy to watch all the way through, right? And you get to the point where he says, this is at the end of it. But I want to hit this first. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. Let me just hit that first. Because I actually, I agree that Charlamagne didn't know enough to push back against all the wrong stuff Joe Biden was saying about mass incarceration. But I appreciated that whole stream of consciousness. Biden went on a whole stream for like 10 minutes just talking to his damn self. I had never seen nothing like that. He said, I didn't do it for that reason. Voting Rights Act. It was voting. I did it for the women, the Violence Against Women Act. And the CBC agreed with me and brought crime down. And I don't know what you've been told about what you think you don't know. It was just the wildest thing I've ever watched. And the way he started off is the way he ended. So you started off, you don't know me. And then he started off by saying, you don't know me, but I know you, basically. I know that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black enough. I'm only going to give you 18 minutes. And this little man's going to come in here and interrupt. And that's all I'm giving black media, which means that all I'm giving the black community, which means that you're already a captured vote, Negro. I don't even really need to talk to you. I know I don't need to talk to you because where you going to go? Because when Charlamagne asked about an exchange, Charlamagne said, well, don't you think you know who that was? That's ADOS's language, because ADOS always says, what do I always say, family? Voting is an exchange, not a gift. Isn't that what I say? So Charlamagne says, what's the exchange? And Biden just goes off and starts talking about some whole other stuff. Well, I showed out in South Carolina. I got more of the black vote than your boy Obama. I did. I agree with you about the exchange. That's what Biden said. When Charlamagne asked about shouldn't we get something for our vote, Biden said, yes, I agree. But you see how much of your vote I already got? I showed out. He still didn't tell us what that exchange should be. He didn't even know. Biden didn't even know. We're going to get back to what's on the screen. But Biden didn't even know That like when Charlamagne said, when you're talking about your policies, do you mean to lift every voice that I read? And he says, no. Biden, I got a whole manifesto. No, Biden. No, Joe Biden. This is what you said. You talking about the same thing. You don't even know the name of your black agenda that was posted by your campaign. We're entering into a space where neither Trump nor Joe Biden are fit to be president. What do? It looks to me like Democratic down ballot was just like more prescient than we knew. What else could we do? Ain't nobody voting for Trump, and ain't nobody voting for Biden. How did y'all get us in this pickle? See, you know what? Actually, I think I'm gonna come back to this because we should probably end on that. You're not really black. Let me just go through some things before I get to that, though. Let me just go through a couple things before I get to that. What we at on time? Okay. Biden does this kind of weird thing throughout, right? It wasn't I didn't try to vote. I did not try to vote for no kind of the mass. I did not put mass incarceration on roller skates. I did not help create the mass incarceration state. The CBC was there with me. Now I agree. You all know I have been very, very critical of the CBC. But please understand that the CBC was promised certain things from Bill Clinton if they went along with this bill to help him. They were promised certain things in terms of a deal that they did not get. Bill Clinton did not make good on his end of the bargain. They were told that, some stuff's going to change along the way, and it didn't change. You are trying to put them on the level as you, Joe Biden. First of all, you're in the Senate. For the overwhelming majority, except for like Carol Mosley Braun back then, and then Tim Scott now was over in the House. You're in the Senate. You're one of 100. That's the most elite House. And you were kicking it with segregationists, and you was speaking at their funerals and all kinds of stuff. And you weren't just going along with this bill because you had to. You said a lot of stuff that let us know that you meant what you said. That you didn't go along. You've been pushing for this kind of mass incarceration state for a long time because you always been one with white supremacy and locking us up. This ain't nothing that just happened to you. You act like somebody kidnapped you, like aliens swapped you off the street and said, you got to come with me, Mr. Biden. No. Joe Biden bragged about a harsh 1992 crime bill that did everything but hang people for jaywalking. Those were your words. Those were not my words. Nobody talked you into this. You were always on this page. You were the one who said George Bush's bill didn't go far enough. Imagine saying the Republican doesn't go far enough in terms of stringing people up. I want to string them higher. And see, this is how we got the politics we got. We got a bunch of Democrats who just to get as much of the white vote as they could, regardless of if it's conservative or not, they just kept going to the right and to the right and to the right and to the right. And the best way to do that is throw all the Negroes under a bus. And that's what you were doing. We know what you were doing because listen, you said this. What we just said, Biden, then U.S. Senator from Delaware, boasted that the bill does everything but hang people for jaywalking. That was you. Nobody made you say that. Own your stuff. Own your words. Let me tell you what is in the bill, and I'll let you all decide whether or not this is weak, he said. Let me get down here a compendium of the things that are in the bill. One, the death penalty. It provides 23 death penalty offenses. Weak as can be, You were bragging about what it did. No, don't come here. Don't come here, Playboy, and act like, well, I just voted for it because there was some stuff in it that was good, and the CBC voted with me. Now leave me alone, Slim Jim. No, the truth is just the truth. That's who you are. That's who you were. That's who you always have been. And we got to get out of this thing where we want to just let people forgive themselves. And, well, he say he a different man now. I believe him. Then he went through this whole thing. About kind of like, which was weird, about swimming pools. And when you went to the ghetto, that was weird. But let's just get back to this for a second. Lock the SOBs up, Joe Biden said. Joe Biden in the era of mass incarceration. That was you, Biden. Wasn't nobody forcing your hand. You were the driver. See, you can't act like somebody kidnapped you when you were the driver. When you were the driver of the bus or one of the drivers of the bus, you can't act like somebody scooped you up and took you somewhere you didn't want to go. You drove there, Biden. Lock the SOBs up. That's what you said. Let's not act like you didn't say what you said. I just want to hit this real quickly, family, because people forget. People have short memories. The truth is, Mr. Biden had boasted a year earlier in a speech on the Senate floor, every major crime bill since 1976. I was 1 year old in 1976. You low down. In 1976, that's come out of this Congress, every minor crime bill has had my name, has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden. You were bragging about being tough on crime. Don't act like, and being tough on crime then meant being tough on Negroes, right? Do not act like this was some kind of thing that just came at you. And you just did, you was just making a deal. The question I have to ask is, this man was doing horrible politics when I was 1 year old. Why is he still here? This is the question I have to ask to the Democratic Party. This man was doing horrible politics when I was 1. Why is he still here? Now, I know one of the reasons because we had a horrible first black president who chose to bring him on board to send a virtue signal to white America that I'm not opposed to you. But why is he still here? This should be it. Why is this man still here? I'm 45. I was 1 when he said that. And he's still the same problematic person in terms of ADOS as he was before. Why is he still here? Babbling and mumbling and jumbling with Charlamagne and being disrespectful of Charlamagne. You don't get to just, well, you don't know me, Slim Jim, or whatever he said. You don't get to do that. I can do it. You don't get to do that because you're just interviewing someone and you're supposed to be respectful because that person represents a black agenda and they represent, what we're trying to do in terms of black politics and a good question about what we get in exchange for our vote. You're supposed to engage that person seriously when they hit you on whatever y'all's on Zoom or whatever. We already know what you did about busing and how you felt about that, Joe Biden. You have a history. You cozied up to a lot of white supremacists, which can only kind of make me believe that maybe there's something in there. This is from that article. While Mr. Biden has said in recent days, this is from a few months ago, that he and Mr. Eastland, that is the segregationist senator that he was bosom buddies with, Mr. Eastland, didn't agree on much anything. It is clear that on a number of important criminal justice issues, they did. As early as 1977, Mr. Biden, with Mr. Eastland's support, pushed for mandatory minimum sentences that would limit judges' discretions in sentencing. But perhaps even more consequential was Mr. Biden's relationship with Mr. Thurmond. That's Strom Thurmond. That's a Ku Klux right there. His Republican counterpart on the Judiciary panel, who became his co-author on a string of bills that effectively rewrote the nation's criminal justice laws with an eye towards putting more criminals behind bars. When you read criminal, don't read just somebody who ran off with a pocketbook. Read Negroes. That's what you need to read when you see that. In 1989, with the violent crime rate continuing to rise as it has since the 1970s, Mr. Biden lamented that the Republican president, George H.W. Bush, was not doing enough to put violent thugs in prison. Ooh, the language. In 1993, he warned of predators on our streets. And in a 1994 Senate floor speech, he likened himself to another Republican president. Every time Richard Nixon, when he was running in 1972, would say law and order, the Democratic match or response was law and order with justice, whatsoever that meant. And I would say lock the SOBs up. See, this is why you don't deserve to be president. And understand something else, fam. Crime was actually ticking on about to be on the downward spiral, right? This whole super predator stuff, that's not what was really going on. That was some made up, concocted kind of BS. And the man behind the whole super predator stuff has said so. Y'all got behind that because you wanted to get behind something that kept ADOS at the bottom of the hierarchy, because you knew that's how you got, the Dixiecrat white vote, right? You knew that because that hierarchy is important. That hierarchy is essential in America. That's why you did what you did, Joe Biden. You were the architect of it. You weren't somebody who just went along to go along. You were the architect. Don't act like it now. No, take pride in it. You took pride in it before. And it's kind of like, he had the only thing I would call it is he had what I call Bill Clinton's black eyed peas moment. Y'all remember Bill Clinton's black eyed peas moment? The black eyed peas moment was done in Brazil, was quoted as saying, "Oh, when I saw Bill Clinton and I met him, we was in the buffet line. And Bill Clinton got some black eyed peas." And I said, "Oh, Lord of mercy. He got so much in common with me, he eat the black eyed peas." That's what I felt with Biden's swimming pool moment. When he asked about, Charlamagne's asking about politics and what we get. You talking about, well, you know what, Charlamagne, I went to the ghetto. I was the only white lifeguard of the swimming pool. Don't you know that Slim Jim? Old Cone Pop Head. They came here and I was out there, and they came here with switchblades and they had bandanas on and they tried to cut me and I was moving. I did that because I don't mind being around you Negroes. I like the same stuff y'all. I came around there. That was kind of like the black eyed peas moment to me. I don't care about your black eyed peas though. I don't care that you went to the ghetto or you visited. I don't care that you was the lifeguard or none of that stuff. Don't none of that matter to me. The only thing I care about is the policies that you have right now for collective uplift. I don't care about none of that other stuff. I don't care about that. 18 minutes of a stream of consciousness. And normally I have something bad to say about Charlamagne not pushing back during that criminal justice moment. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I enjoyed it. I thought that, I don't know whether Charlamagne did it because he didn't know enough or he did it for some other reason. But I enjoyed him stepping back and just letting Biden talk, because Biden just screwed the pooch. The more he talked, the less we liked him. I didn't like him in general, but I'm talking about everybody else. The more he talked, the more it was like, I don't know. First of all, this is horrible. It's not true. And I don't think this man is fit to be president. And then he's going up against a man who's also not fit to be president. So what do? It makes you think that then the Democrats, and I'm talking about you all in South Carolina too, you voters, did the wrong thing. I understand a lot of people dropped out and they set it up that way. But y'all made I understand we didn't have a lot of good choices, but you could have did better than this. What is this? What did y'all leave us with? South Carolina, I'm talking to you. Like, what did you co-sign right here with this man? He just did a babble of stream of consciousness. Now I was happy that Charlamagne just sat back and let him talk. Just talk. And then at the end, he gets interrupted by this little white guy. Listen, for whatever, for good or bad or whatever, the black guy that you're talking to is representing black media and representing some of the concerns that ADOS have. Who are you, little white man in the back, to interrupt that? Well, we're going to have to end this. Because the wife has a meeting. Child, ain't nobody concerned about what Jill Biden has to say. We are concerned about what he has to say and what he's going to give us in exchange for our vote. The little white man, he couldn't have sounded whiter if he tried. Well, we're going to have to end this now. And we're going to have to, time's up, I'm sorry. What? What is this? Oh, Slim Jim, he was telling all kind of job turkey talk. You don't know me. Segregationist. All kinds of stuff. It was a lot going on. It was a lot going on. He said, if you don't want to do that, you get a life. Get a life. Get a life. And let me just say this too. We have to talk. Let me put this back up. Because we got to talk about it. If you're having a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. Let me tell you something. First of all, I heard this. I heard it. Nicole Hannah-Jones earlier this morning. I heard it from a few other people. Yes, There is something, you can be racially black. We do have a thing, and don't say it ain't true, about being racially black and not politically black. Let me tell y'all something. I've been alive in this world for a minute. I ain't never heard that before. I have never heard anybody say. I've been alive 45 years. I've never heard anybody say, you can be, we all know black people, let's not act like we don't, that you can be politically black. You can be racially black, but not be politically black. And y'all know what Biden was saying. In the chat, have y'all heard that before? I want y'all to let me know. Now, what I have heard is that you can agree with a certain set of policies that benefit black people and oppose a certain set of policies that are detrimental to ADOS people. You can do that. You can do that. You can absolutely do that. And that's called woke. How ADOS black people refer to that now is being woke. You're woke. Or he's not woke. It's not referred to as being not black. So there's no way to kind of paint this as, what you all know we be doing that. We be talking like that. Pop, pop, pop. No, we don't. We don't say nothing like that. I've never heard that. No. There is no, well, you ain't black. No, you still black. You just, people say, well, you ain't woke. I'm sure pretty soon there'll be another way to talk about it. But the way I've heard it throughout the majority of my life, well, he ain't woke. See, you ain't woke. You don't know enough. Yeah, that's not the same thing as, we have never had something that said you're racially black, but you're not politically black. We don't have a verbiage for that. So you don't get to tell Charlamagne or me or anybody else that, what, you just ain't black. You ain't black. You ain't blackity black. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And you would not talk to nobody else like that. You would not say, well, you not in favor of Asian politics. You ain't Chinese if you don't vote for me. You would not say, well, you're not Jewish, you don't vote for me. You will only say that to us. And that is the entire tone of the interview. The interview is condescending nonsense. You are just being condescending. Now, I don't know whether you got early stage dementia, you run a Reagan in it, or whether you just have craze like Trump. I don't know which one it is, but ain't none of y'all fit to be my president. So I don't know what anybody's going to do. Everybody better figure it out. Because Democratic down ballot looks like genius at this point. Because ain't nothing at the top of the ticket. I ain't voting for Trump. I ain't voting for this man. It is what it is. And let me just say this, the last thing I'll probably say. I need everybody to stop telling me and stop telling ADOS in general. An agenda of political items is important. But I need y'all to stop telling me that making me a citizen should be on my agenda. That's what America should do just in general. So stop telling me, well, I supported the Voting Rights Act. What you mean? The Voting Rights Act is something that this country should just do just because we're citizens and we've been citizens forever. And like the racism should have been squeezed out of this political system a long time ago. You don't get to give me something that I should already have as my agenda. That's not uplift. That's just giving me citizenship. No. In terms of like giving me the basics of citizenship, not any kind of uplift, not reparations that gives me what I should have had in terms of what I was owed. No, this is just you giving me the right to vote. You protected my right to vote. I should have been had the right to vote. That's my agenda item. No, that's just something that America should just do. Because that's just something that America should have been did. Republicans and Democrats should be on the same page with that. The fact that I get something that should just be basic. That's like giving me water. Well, you got water in your house, and we cut the air back on. What the heck are you talking about? No, this is basic. You don't give me like the stuff that everybody else has as like the big agenda item, unless it's something like reparations, which uplifts us and elevates us in the system. It's not an equality thing. Reparations is elevation to where we should be if we had not been a plundered group. You're just like giving me air. Like, well, I gave you, you can breathe now, can't you? Yeah, but that should be basic. That's not whatever. And so I see somebody in the chat saying, well, just don't vote. No, we're voting down ballot because we're not stupid. See, The thing is, there will be other initiatives on the ballot. Those initiatives will have stuff to do with taxes. They may have to do with incarceration. Depending on where you are, there will be other people and other initiatives. There will be people to vote for and people to vote against. We're not going to disengage from voting. We're not going to get involved with that stupidity that other people on YouTube are dealing with. Just don't show up. Don't show up is not it. You have to engage in politics. I'm not showing up. When you decide not to show up, you have to decide not to show up for somebody specifically. I'm not showing up for Joe Biden, but I am showing up for some other people on the ballot and some other initiatives on the ballot that are good for ADOS, that are good for my specific community. And I'm going to be a grown up and research those things. I'm not going to be a dullard. I'm not going to be a dunce. I'm not going to be a child. I am going to be an adult, and I'm going to push myself into civic participation. And I'm going to vote for some people, and I'm going to vote against some people. But that's what happens. I'm going to be in the arena, because being in the arena means you are willing to fight. If you are not in the arena, I can only assess that you're running, that you got legs, but you ain't got no hands, right? So you want to be outside the arena, you're just a coward. And you should call it a coward. You call yourself a coward and just throw it out. Just throw your towel in and say, I'm a coward. I don't want to be in the political arena. I don't want to read no books. I don't want to read no articles. I don't want to do nothing but abdicate my responsibility and embarrass the ancestors. That's all I want to do. So those of you who want to abdicate responsibility and step out of the arena, as opposed to walk in the arena and make an intelligent assessment each and every time, are an embarrassment to the ancestors. And you should be ashamed. And I think that's a wonderful time to end this broadcast. I don't know what Joe Biden was doing, but this is a wonderful time for what we are doing. This is a wonderful time to end this. And I can only say to Charlamagne, you said you can't do this to black media at the end. And I think what Joe Biden showed you is that you are wrong. He can do this to black media. He can do this to black people, and you have no black privilege. Your whole first book was absolutely wrong. So let's just end on that note, fam. I will see you again on Monday. Be easy breezy, and we will talk soon. And take care of yourself. Okay? Take care of yourself. Keep your mask on and keep it pushing. Thanks, fam. Mm-hmm.